But first tonight, the claim against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh that he committed some kind of sexual assault while a student in high school has metastasized into something different, something ugly, and something threatening to all of us. We've learned remarkably little about Brett Kavanaugh or Christine Ford in the past week, despite a lot of words on their behalf. The facts of the case are still sparse and they're murky. But we've learned a disturbing amount about the left and what it's willing to do in order to maintain control of this country. Watch a clip from today in which New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand explained why she knows Brett Kavanaugh is guilty. Watch.
I believe her because she's telling the truth. She's asking the FBI to investigate her claims. She's asking for that kind of review, that investigative work, that oversight, that accountability, because she's telling the truth. Someone who is lying does not ask the FBI to investigate their claims. Who is not asking the FBI to investigate these claims? The White House. Judge Kavanaugh has not asked to have the FBI review these claims. Is that the reaction of an innocent person? It is not.
So try to ignore the yelling there and the theatrics and the pure demagoguery of the moment and focus instead on Kirsten Gillibrand's reasoning, to the extent that there is any. Quote, I believe her because she's telling the truth. Or put another way, it's true because it is. Now in logic class, they call this circular reasoning, which isn't actually reasoning at all. Instead, it's simply a demand that you believe something because someone else is asserting it. Children talk this way. You'd think a U.S. Senator would be embarrassed to. But it's the second part of Gillibrand's statement that you ought to pay attention to because it's scary. Kavanaugh hasn't called for yet another FBI investigation into himself. Therefore, Senator Gillibrand says he did it. Is that the reaction of an innocent person, she thunders? It is not. Well, not since the McCarthy era, almost 70 years ago, have lawmakers talked like this in this country. Unless you call for an FBI investigation of yourself, you're guilty of a crime. Even Joe McCarthy himself never said anything like that. It was too reckless even for him. And now one of the Democratic Party's leading presidential candidates casually drops the line at a press conference and the media hardly notice. So apparently that's the new standard in Washington. Okay, well, let's start with Kirsten Gillibrand. Gillibrand was a friend of Harvey Weinstein's. Here's a picture of the two of them together. Weinstein has been credibly accused of rape. Did Kirsten Gillibrand know about Weinstein's sexual assaults? Was she an accessory to them? We've asked those questions before in this show, but we never got an answer. Why hasn't Gillibrand demanded an FBI investigation into herself to clear that up? Is that the reaction of an innocent person? By her standards, it's not. So bring on the FBI. Let them interview Kirsten Gillibrand under oath. Maybe surprise her at her home at dawn with a search warrant. And while they're at it, they should take a very close look at her relationship with Bill Clinton, another accused rapist. No doubt the Senate will beg for an investigation into that too, assuming she's innocent. If she hesitates, press charges. This is lunatic. Sober liberals understand that it is. Democrats don't want Brett Kavanaugh on the court because they disagree with him. And that's understandable, by the way. They're angry that the Republican Senate refused to vote on Barack Obama's last Supreme Court nominee, Merrick Garland. That's understandable, too. But what's happening now is dangerous in a way that has nothing to do with politics. It's a threat to the civil liberties of every American, no matter who you voted for in 2016. Extremism has exploded on the left, and nobody is trying to contain it. Here's one particularly jarring example of that. This is Congressman John Garamendi of California. We know him well. He's one of the few House Democrats willing to come on this show. We don't usually agree with Garamendi, but we've always found him to be a decent and reasonable person, always. Here's what he just said about the Kavanaugh allegations.
Women across this nation should be outraged at what these white men senators are doing to this woman. The senators, the male senators who control that committee, are playing the game as old as an assault. And that is, the woman's the accused. The woman is at fault.
Wait a second. What does the race of specific senators have to do with any of this? Should we be angry at them because of their skin color? Should we distrust them more? Are they inherently less fair or less decent because of the way they look? Garamendi is implying exactly that. So how is that different or better than anything George Wallace ever said? Well, it's not, except that suddenly this filth is everywhere, so you hardly even notice it. The last thing this country needs right now is more racial division. Democrats are pushing it anyway. They're using allegations that have literally nothing to do with race at all. But splitting the country into tiny warring groups is useful to them. It helps them maintain their power, and so they're happy to do it. Men against women, black against white, divide and conquer, whatever it takes. In the end, it's unlikely that we'll ever know conclusively what happened between Brett Kavanaugh and Christine Ford 36 years ago, if anything at all. But it's crystal clear what's happening right now. This is a power grab. It is hurting the country, destroying our centuries-old traditions of justice, and empowering morons and demagogues.